Good morning and welcome to Kepa Life. This month I have Andries and Tony from Partners Life with us, so in a few seconds we'll hear from them. I'd just like to give you an update on the recent Sales Leaders Directors Forum we had in Auckland last week. What a fantastic event. We had 35 of our key advisors and key advisor groups present, and we had an awesome day getting many updates on our end-to-end solution and also on Fit for License. We had David Greenslade do a presentation for us on Kepa's progress towards getting a licensed entity or becoming a FAP. It's really interesting to note that Kepa is at the forefront of developments in licensing. David's been working extensively with FMA and with Kepa, and it's really interesting to note that Kepa are at the forefront, as I mentioned before, of licensing. Fit for License means that Kepa will be fit for license. It also means that all of our members will be fit for license. We have built our model for licensing around a modular basis, which means that we're going to be able to cater for advisors that will come in under our license and for advisors who are looking for their own license. If you're in the marketplace looking to build a licensed entity, that's absolutely fantastic news, and Kepa will be there to support you with the facility and services that we can to help you gain, maintain and keep your license in a good, compliant state. If anybody would like to ask any questions about Fit for License or where you think you may be placed, please feel free to ring us at Kepa. We'll give you an update and keep you updated all the way. In July, the code is going to the select committee, so we will give you regular updates on what needs to be done following that time. Now, as I said before, we're welcoming today Tony and Andries from Partners Life. So welcome, guys. Lovely to have you both with us.
Thank you, Peter.
And we wouldn't mind going through and just seeing where Partners Life is placed right now presently. You guys have done a phenomenal job, as always, in the marketplace. Andries, to get us started, would you like to give us an update on how things are actually going with Partners now and the progress you're making in the marketplace?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Certainly I would like to do that because the 2017-18 financial year has been a very, very good one for us. But before I go into that, I want to acknowledge the support and the contribution the Kepa members have made towards our success. Because it's obvious without that, we can't do anything. 2017-18 was a record year for us in many, many respects. But what I want to do is just highlight a few of those to give you a bit of a feel for where things are at the moment. So we issued $49 million in new business API for the last financial year. That is 20% up on the previous financial year. Now, in any term, that is a very good result, and we're very pleased with that. Now, due to that phenomenal result, we are now the #1 in new business market share in New Zealand. It's something that, you know, we take very seriously, and we're very happy about that. But we're conscious that we have to continue doing what we're doing well to continue on this growth path. Something that came out just a few weeks ago is the Lewis survey. And for the 7th year in a row, we've been voted the #1 in terms of advisor support. This is something that's very close to our heart, and it's something that we know is important to help us on this growth path that we're on. Something else, our in-force book is now ticked over $250 million. Wow. That in 7 years, so another good number for us. The one that I believe we're most proud of is the over $284 million we have paid in claims since we started 7 years ago. As you know, and we all know, that's the important part. It's paying claims. And certainly that amount of claims paid in only 7 years is a demonstration of the huge success we're having in this market, because that's why we're here, is to help Kiwi families when they need it most. Now, it's impressive numbers, but I know that none of this would be possible unless we've had excellent support from advisors across New Zealand. And we're very humbled by that. And we want to make it clear that we take it seriously, we don't take it for granted. And we want to thank everybody for that.
That's awesome. I know you guys have done a phenomenal job in the marketplace, and the those numbers are pretty impressive. In fact, not pretty impressive, they're phenomenal. Who would have guessed that 7 years ago, we first sat down, had a chat to Naomi about the building of a newer life insurance company in New Zealand, we would have clocked over anything like that. I mean, that's absolutely awesome.
Something else I want to add to that, while we're talking about it, is obviously with these numbers coming out, we as a business have to look at what are we doing next. So as a business, we're in full recruitment mode to support the phenomenal growth we're having, because the new financial year that we're already 2.5 months into is not letting up. It is continuing on the same path. And as a business, we sat down, had a look, and we are doing everything we can to support this phenomenal growth we're having.
Well, that's good. Beefing up the machine to be able to better support advisors in the marketplace. That's awesome.
Yep.
Tony, I know you guys have been absolutely flat out and getting new business on the books and paying claims, but what's happened by way of product development? I'm not being critical, but it's been a couple of years since we've seen any developments. I think the last development we saw from you was level term. Have we got anything else planned coming up for product?
So I think, as Andries was talking through the numbers, I think, Jeff, one of the things that has been a foundation for partners in its pursuit of closing the underinsurance gap in New Zealand is building product that ultimately does a great job for the policyholders of advisors. And that has been and will continue to be an absolute critical focus for us. Our number one tenet in the Partners Life strategy is to have the number one product. We haven't been quiet. We're out talking to advisors all the time, and currently there's a series of trauma workshops across the country where we're continuing to engage advisors. It is absolutely the case that we haven't had a major product launch this year, and I think it's important to understand a key point of that is, as we've seen this growth within the business, we recognise how important it is that we invest in our own processes, systems, platforms, that as we scale and as the volume of information, as we deal with people through policy admin to underwriting to claims, it's really, really important for us to do the job that we want to be doing in years from now. We need to make sure that we have invested at this point in our IT systems and in our technology. We have some really exciting stuff that we are throwing quite a lot of investment at the moment, and advisors will begin to see these tools towards the end of the year. And this goes right from, I guess, working through how do we help digitise our application process and make sure that as advisors are having conversations with customers, doing the fact finds, drawing together that information around their needs and providing that through to us. We make that as seamless and easy as possible for that information gathering, but also then how it's passed into Partners Life so that we can process it efficiently to get the right outcomes for customers, and also make sure that we can get back to advisors in the quickest possible time. We're not just focusing on digitising, I guess, the application process and the app. We've also stood back and actually said, how can we support and take this opportunity to understand the full advice process, given that we know that we've got to transition to a new regulatory environment? What are some of the tools and platforms that we can put around advisors to make sure not only do we make the process of gathering that information and passing it through to Partners Life easy, how do we make sure that we can do that in a way which helps advisors ensure that it is a compliant process but ultimately delivers a great customer experience to the people that they are speaking to.
We're hearing a lot about technology and development and enhancements, and that's really great to hear what you're doing. And you're right, it's not, from what I'm gathering, it's not just about having an electronic application, but it goes the full Monty, and it's keeping advisors in the marketplace and timely and relevant.
I think it's spot on. I think the reality, and it's not just in the insurance industry but across the board, something like a digital application process in the app is ultimately just a ticket to the game. What we're trying to do at the moment is to find a way to sit back, engage with advisors around how do they have conversations with people in the market, and what can we build around to not just make the application process digitised, but actually put something to advisors that ultimately strengthens their ability to have quality, robust conversations with customers, and make sure that they're future-proof, so that whatever the transition through to the new regulatory environment that we're working in, it's one that Partners Life is able to demonstrate that we can help support advisors through the record keeping and information provision that they have. It's really exciting. I can't talk about it a lot more, obviously, because the market's nice and competitive, which is a good thing. But certainly before the end of the year, we expect some of these tools to start coming out into the marketplace. And as I say, we think the timing for it is great as we go through to the new regulatory environment.
I opened up this gambit by talking about product and saying what have you been doing by way of product, and I still want to pursue that a tad, because I mean what we're seeing and what we're hearing a lot about now, and it's very much an international trend, is that the focus is moving very, very much to living product. And when I mean living product, it's things like trauma, income protection, medical insurance. It's cover. Well, I don't need to tell you what it is, but it's cover while people are living. It's not just death. And so it's really great to hear that you're doing workshops around the country on trauma. So we look forward to seeing that coupled up with your new systems and processes going forward too. It'd be awesome. Andries, it's fantastic to hear what you're doing by way of enhancements, development, both product and by technology. What are some of the other things that you see going forward for supporting advisors, especially throughout the changes that we're going to see happen in the industry over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yep. So, Jeff, there's a few things I want to highlight, but I think supporting advisor businesses in this point in time is even more critical than ever before, because we know, we have an idea of what's coming in future, and our view is that yes, people will probably have to do some education, they have to do licensing and all these sort of things that's been thrown at them. But we will have to support them, to help them, to find a balance between doing those things and earn a living as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of support we are building from our end behind the scenes, where we will support groups like yourself in this process to get your members to a position where they can comply fully and have a business that's growing and is literally giving them opportunities to have a future. So that's just in a general terms. But there are three specific things I want to highlight in terms of what we're doing other than the day-to-day stuff. One is, and Tony mentioned our focus on digital tools. Now, most advisors will know that we have a system called My Partner's Life, MPL, and that is going through a major revamp as part of this whole process at the moment. And very soon advisors will have more reporting capability through that system that will allow them to have a better understanding of their business with Partners Life, and which we can use in return to help them with the growth in their businesses and identifying those areas that is probably lacking, that we can help and support them to grow. So that's one of it. The second one I want to highlight is our new advisor training course. So you would know that previously we had a 2-week in-class course that people had to attend. Now, it's something we introduced very early on as a business, and it's been very successful. We've had more than 500 people through that. And last year we sat back and said, well, the market is changing, the needs are changing. We need to change what we're doing to suit the needs of our advisors and advisor businesses. So in December, we introduced the new advisor training course. What we've done is we changed it to 13 e-learning modules people have to complete before, a 3-day in-classroom session. Now, the 3 days is also different, because what we're doing there is a more practical approach. We give them real-life examples, we use case studies, and we take them through from identifying the need right through to claim stage. So they have a full experience what it will be like to be out there as an advisor. The feedback has been fantastic, and we've already had 160 people through the course since we started in December. Since we introduced it, we decided to do it every month, whereas previously we could only do it once every quarter. In certain months we had to put it on 2 courses because of oversubscription. It's a fantastic new way for us of helping new advisors entering the market, and I suggest that if anybody is out there that's bringing on new people, it's worth their while to send people to this course. The last thing I want to talk about is about the Partners Life insurance specialists. Now, a lot of people might know about that, but there might be a lot that don't even know it even exists. It's something that's been with Partners since the start. And the best I can describe it is it's a locum service. So what do we do? Why do we have that? The reason we have this is because we have recognised that there are several advisor businesses that comes across a lot of opportunities, but they don't have the capacity to act on it and maximise that opportunity. So these insurance specialists are advisors, but they are salaried advisors that's employed by us. And what we do is, as a classic example, is we've had an advisor business that stumbled across a massive lead generation opportunity, but they couldn't handle it. So they came to us for help and said, what can we do? So we introduced the insurance specialist into that part, and they're taking full care of it. And we're writing some good business for this advisor business out of that opportunity. The good thing for the advisor is they own the client, and we're taking responsibility for the advice we're given. So it's just a different way for us to help and look at those situations where advisor businesses comes across an opportunity and we can support the growth they're looking for. So that's just a few things I wanted to highlight today. 3
great initiatives, and if I just go back and backtrack on some of those, I mean, you talked firstly about the work you're doing in the analytics around an advisor's business and conversion rates and NTUs. I know for the last 3 conferences, Hayden and the team have worked really, really hard on pulling some of those analytics out of an advisor's business. Last week, for argument's sake, at our Sales Leaders Directors Forum, Hayden again presented to our top advisors about their own personal stats and some of the percentages and numbers and the NTU rates and what's happening. It's made a huge difference to a lot of our advisor practices who are now focusing on getting more business on the books, more Kiwis being insured, so a great result. In so much as your new advisor training is concerned, you're right, the feedback we've had has been awesome also. I mean, we used to get awesome feedback from the original 2-week courses, but now that they're going in their own time, doing their pre-learning on those 13 modules, and then coming in for 2 days and doing real case studies, the feedback we've had from the new advisors that are joining Kepa members has been just spectacular. So well done on that. So
we also have certain practices that comes to us and say, I've just had 1 or 2 new admin people starting in the business. And they don't want to send them up to Auckland for the 3 days, but what we do is we give them access to the e-learning modules to get them up to speed with the basics, and that's also making a big difference.
Oh, it would do. I mean, any advisor practice that's got admin support that knows and understands the process and what an advisor goes through must be a phenomenal help to them in the business, especially if they're doing things like writing plans or looking after their clients on behalf of their advisors. So yeah, that's awesome. Tony, lastly, I suppose, what's your view on how you could support our advisors create new markets in the environment that we've got today?
Look, Jeff, I've been with Partners, the team, for around about 8 months, and I touched on earlier that our purpose as a business, and Naomi, Hayden, Peter, and the founders of the company, want to close the underinsurance gap, and we believe that Partners Life can do that. And I think some of the growth, some of the work that we're doing in supporting advisors to grow people's understanding of why risk is important, how they protect their needs, whether they're individuals, families or businesses, is a really key part that we can play. But I think as I've got into the business and had conversations out across the country, one of the things that's really clear is when you look back and have a look at the FSC stats, the actual number of people being insured across the country and the volume of insurance doesn't look like it's materially changing. I think that Partners Life can play a role in lifting up a financial literacy conversation specifically around risk and why it's important. And one of the pieces that we've been working on in Partners Life is what is the conversation that Partners Life should be taken to the broader market. Now, the last 7 years of history of Partners Life has, as we spoke about earlier, in many ways been a real success. But one of the pieces that I think it's time for us to move towards now is, and I call it coming out of the shadows. But we have had a lot of support from advisors, and now it's, I think, our turn to think about how do we get to the message to the end market around why is advice and why is insurance so important, and how does Partners Life invest and take a message out to the market where all New Zealanders can hopefully begin to get engaged in, how are they insured? Are they insured at all? Do they have the right insurance? And again, going back to this piece around advisors, insurance is not, and life insurance is not something that people necessarily go and buy. It is something that is advised. And I think if we can play a role, and as I say, we're building a brand and communication strategy at the moment that we'll be sharing a little bit with the attendees that are going to our Hawaiian conference, just as an early taster, around a message platform that will go out to the wider market, and we're really excited about that because I think the role that Partners Life needs to think about playing is how do we drive our lead generation, people to go and seek out advisors and start to tap some of this massive underinsurance gap and the people that it makes up that we know aren't getting to advice around insurance and therefore aren't taking care of their immediate and long-term needs. So it's really exciting. It's, as I say, it's something that we've quietly been doing behind the scenes. We're getting very close to a point where we're going to be talking to our board about it, and from there, as I say, in Hawaii, we'll be talking to advisors, and then from there, hopefully people right around the country will begin to see us and the conversation that we want to start and that we think is important.
That's absolutely awesome, and I look forward to seeing and hearing that news release when it happens. I can't remember ever in my lifetime in this industry any company actually taking that role in the marketplace. I mean, a lot of companies over the years have taken a role of brand promotion, theirs, but I can't think of anybody that's ever gone directly out to the marketplace to try and not necessarily increase their financial literacy, but make them aware of the need to have insurance to protect the needs.
The company's been set up with a primary purpose to close the underinsurance gap in New Zealand. And we all know the reason why insurance is important, and we know at times where unfortunately a claim is made, the difference that makes in people's lives. And as I say, I think it's time that Partners Life is able to take that conversation to the broader market. It will be part of a long-term communication plan and strategy that we do, but ultimately why are we doing it? It's so that we can start to engage people that sit in this very significant block of New Zealanders, whether they be individuals, families or businesses, where they either don't have insurance in the worst case scenario, or almost as bad, they don't have the right insurance, so that if a claim was to be made, how do they have the confidence and certainty that their provider will be able to make sure that they're covered in their time of need. So as I say, it's exciting. It's something, as I say, we've been spending a considerable amount of time to get right. But we believe that as we have got larger, as we have scaled as a business, now is the right time for us to take that conversation out to the market.
Awesome. I mean, it was last week at our Sales Leaders Directors Forum that I myself talked at quite length about being fit for license, and there's a lot of change about to hit our industry, probably more change in the next 6 months than what we've seen in the last 30 odd years. And some of that change is about education, some of that change is about licensing, some of that change is about advice. And our goal in life, and we've said this for the last 5 or 6 years, our goal in life as a group is to support our members so that they can do one thing a lot better than what they've been able to do in the past, and that's see more people and give people good quality independent advice in the marketplace. And if we start to burden the advisors in the marketplace with what they've got to do with education, what they've got to do to be compliant, what they've got to do to be licensed, it's just going to take a lot more advisors out of the marketplace focusing on those issues. So our goal in life as a dealer group is very much around being able to support our advisor network so that we can take the responsibility for education. We can't take the education off them, but we can certainly deliver to them packages to meet their needs. Also in the space of licensing, like I said earlier on, if a group is wanting to get its own license, fantastic. We're there to help and support them in a modular approach, and also with the advice process that they have to go through. So
after.
It's been great working with you guys over the last 7 years. Blimey, when you say 7 years, it just comes as such a shock. I don't know where the last 7 years has gone, and I bet you guys don't know where it's gone either, because it's just gone so quickly. But congratulations on the phenomenal result, and also congratulations on your thinking to the future. I personally think you guys have got it really nailed, and we're continuing to support you very, very heavily. So thanks very much for spending the time with us today.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Chief.
Thanks, team. Awesome to see you all. I certainly do hope you enjoyed today's discussion with the team from Partners Life. We look forward to seeing you next month. Bye for now.